Minneapolis City.
Post goals! What about that? What about that?
The People's Pitch Podcast, brought to you by Summit Brewing Company.
Happy New Year, friends. This is the People's Pitch Podcast, the official podcast of your Minneapolis City Soccer Club. I'm John. I am here wishing you a very happy New Year. And alongside me, as always, is my partner in crime, Mr. Nate Morales. Nate, how are you doing, man?
I'm great. I hope you had a great New Year and a cool Yule. Also a cool Yule to all the citizens out there, or happy solstice, or Feliz Navidad, whatever, man. It's been a great end of the year, and we're gearing up again for another year of Minneapolis City soccer.
Yeah, in full disclosure for everyone listening to this, the reason why our end of the year recap is coming out after the year is because we did record this, and in the the archives of history is going to be an unheard episode of me completely drunk trying to do this episode.
I admire your honesty to let people know that you were so blackout drunk.
I was literally, folks, trying to read the rundown of what I was supposed to talk about with one eye closed just so I could focus. It happened to be the night of the Wisconsin Badger bowl game, and one of my neighbors she went to Madison, and she's the type of football fan who goes completely rabid and is very superstitious. So there's things like touchdown shots, and I was not prepared for like 5 shots of Jameson. And then I sat down. I was like, all right. I walked home. I'm like, all right. I'm gonna do a podcast now. I'm ready to go. And then it was like when they hit like warp speed in Star Wars, like everything just kind of hit me. And yeah, I went back and listened to it, and I know you were there live, so you got to feel it. I was not in any shape to be talking to you folks or talking about soccer, even though I tried my best. I did good, I thought. But
well, take 2 tonight. We're going to be looking back on our favorite things of 2017. It is John and Nate's top 10 city stuff of the year. But if you think we're going to be all hugs and rainbows and lollipops and break character, you are wrong, because John has an Old Grand Dad Rant ready to go. He has a bone to pick with the MLS.
Yes,
and
I do.
Super excited to hear what you actually have to say.
Yeah, I melted down at that point.
That was the moment we realized. I was like, this is not going to happen. All right. Well, let's get started with our top 10. John and I have picked 10 things over the course of the year that we really are proud of as a podcast, as Minneapolis City supporters, as guys that are involved with Minneapolis City and have traveled with them. And we'll start with number 10. For me, John, it is episode number 37. This is way, way, way back in February when we interviewed Dustin Brannon of Talisman Caps, and we got his thoughts on coaching in the U.S. Open Cup alongside you, on local soccer in Minnesota, and kind of coming up in that system in the 2000s, and of course on making a living making local soccer look good. There are a number of pretty good moments that I think Dustin is a real smart guy with some interesting. He's got an interesting take on how to be a supporter and what it takes, and he's got some good memories from back in the day, and we kind of cut open a vein with him. So I really liked that episode. I thought it was probably one of our best as a podcast. I highly recommend episode number 37.
And I think that's kind of a springboard to maybe having him back on, because I follow him on social media. I know you do, and I know a lot of our listeners do, and he's in and out of coming to games and having his pop-up stores here and there. But now he has a physical store in St. Paul, and it'd be good to maybe have him back on in 2018 and talk about the progression of what he was really just starting to build when we talked to him, and to kind of see how it evolved today.
Yeah, you're right. So much has changed for him. They do have that storefront on St. Clair in Cretin, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a cool spot.
It's really nice if you haven't been in there. It's got all his gear. But also, he's still involved as a Minneapolis City fan and as a Minnesota United fan.
Remember Stegman still?
Yep, member of Stegman, and just as kind of a curator of all things soccer, and he's just a cool dude to talk to.
Yep, absolutely. So definitely check him out. Talismancaps.com, is that right?
Yep.
So check him out online, and hopefully we'll have him back in. So our next one is number 9, and this one is one that many folks have seen either live or clips on the internet, or perhaps caught a stream of one of our games, and it's Martin Brown Jr.'s dead ball free kick ability. And the reason why I wanted to highlight this one is because I was talking with actually Jeremy, Coach Jeremy, our soccer Buddha, at our winter training sessions, and we were talking about the players, and I was like, I would take a 40-year-old Martin and I would put him on any team I have, and I would just tell him to sit right by the sideline, and then just check himself in whenever there's a free kick, if I could, because this guy has pinpoint accuracy, and not only his ability to put the ball on frame from multiple angles, but doing it with a left foot is something that you don't really see very much at this level.
Yeah.
With that vigor, I guess you could say, and accuracy, and I believe all but one of his free kicks either went in or hit the frame or made the goalie make a save. And that's pretty impressive. And you can see some of the the pictures on our website and on social media of him celebrating his goal against Duluth in our first home game, where they actually kind of knew the story of Martin, possibly through maybe Tom Corcoran from his time playing with us in the Open Cup last year. But they put 7 or 8 guys in the wall, and he still bent the ball around and beat the keeper. So number 9. For me, Martin's free kicks, they're incredible. Can't wait to see a couple more of them this coming season.
They are delicious. Number 8 for me, speaking of delicious things, our partnership with the Viking Bar. That's, of course, the team's partnership with the Viking Bar as a home for supporters before and after the game, as well as the podcast partnership. We were able to go in and record an episode there. I think Joey Gustafson was our guest, and that was pretty cool. All in all, a really sweet place to be able to hang out before games and with the team and opposing teams after games. It was actually kind of added a little bit of I don't know. It was always kind of a nice way to wind down after a win or a loss to know you can go to the Viking Bar, meet some players, have some summits, have some JMOs, watch a little soccer on TV if you still have an appetite for it, and eat some Little Caesars. Yep. And then sometimes the other team would come in and start drinking, and that was always kind of cool. I liked that a lot. So I hope that, I know we're not going to be at Edor Nelson Field next year, but I hope we can find an option that allows us to continue to utilize the Viking Bar for the 2018 season. Thank you so much to the Viking Bar for being our official hangout,
pre and post game.
Yep.
Yes, absolutely. Just because we're not at Edor Nelson this year because of the construction going on doesn't mean that we still can't stop on down there. They're always willing to turn a soccer game on, even if there's a death metal band playing or something. So, which always is interesting. So, yeah, definitely going down and check out the Viking Bar. Give them your money, and we'll be back in a few short 360 some days. Number 7. This one is a little bit of an interesting one. Throughout the season we had ups and downs, as but we were in kind of a do or die stretch there at the end of just needing results. Yeah. And number 7 was the Sioux Falls away win, where we had 11 field players. And this game was interesting in a couple facets. One, because not only did we just have 11 players, but we had backup goalie James Nair actually having to get some field time up top. But also, it was kind of a shorthanded coaching staff trip. So I made the trip down and helped out with Adam and the staff. And it was, the locker room before the game was very much... everyone was all in, and they knew that what they had to do in order to get 3 points. And it started off with a bang, Nate. We got a goal in the first 5 minutes of the match. I believe it was Miles Stockman Willis playing up top that day. just scoring off of a great through pass from Martin to kind of set the tone, and we were just on the front foot all day and picked up a very well needed 3 points. And then the celebrations in the hotel afterwards with the team was very much so momentum building for a strong finish to the season. So it was another opportunity like Madison was in our PLA days, where we went into a town and had to get 3 points with a short staff, and we did it. And it just shows the fortitude of the team when that happens.
Yeah, just another example too of for some reason traveling together brings a team together more than
absolutely.
Showing up on a Friday night straight from your job and having to play 90 minutes of soccer together.
Well, and I mean, it was like injuries hit, people had planned travel. It was also the game where Max Kent got a yellow card for getting his jersey ripped in half. Not necessarily that's what got him the yellow card, but kind of what he said to the referee afterwards.
Yep.
But it was like we went up there with a lot of young guys, and we got it done. It was awesome.
Nice. All right, on to mine, number 6. I think one of the things that I loved about 2017 was the increased involvement in the local soccer developmental community that the team had, whether it was holding pregame clinics, whether it was the ball kids at every home game, whether it was sending the players showing up at parks and at local YMCAs to just do free play with kids. I think that Minneapolis City more and more has inserted itself as a positive force in local soccer, and they're doing it the right way. It's not a pay-to-play kind of a force where you're getting $1,000 a year out of families just to get their kids some field time. It's really all about getting the ball to kids and getting them to have fun and learn that way. I really like that philosophy, and I like how Minneapolis City is doing it.
And you can even layer on top of that, Nate, our involvement at Pride Fest and how great of a turnout it was with the guys out there, juggling a soccer ball in front of our tent, and us being the only soccer presence for the whole weekend.
Yep. Which
Minnesota United was there for one day, and they parked their big merch truck in between 2 urinals, which was kind of funny. That's the slot that they got. Might have been indicative of their season at that point, but I was down there, brought Gus with me, and we just kind of hung out, and it was great. So not only was Minneapolis City giving back to the soccer community, but also giving back to a different segment of our community that a lot of times, more times than not, sports teams are less inclined to be part of. So it was really good. And then we had the St. Patrick's Day parade, which is kind of a fun community event that we marched in that one. So it's good to see that we're kind of in and out of these events and creating our own for kids and stuff.
Yeah, I hope to see more of that in 2018. The team really getting out there and kind of presenting ourselves as positive soccer ambassadors.
Number five comes by the way of a topic that could kind of go down in history a little bit at Minneapolis City, and that's the debut and the inclusion of one Brandon Bai into Minneapolis City. And the interesting thing about why I chose this topic was because of not only the player that Brandon is, we talked about his success in college, and when he approached us about coming to Minnesota for his internship with I believe it was Kellogg's for supply chain management, he basically said, like, I'm just looking to stay fresh. I'm focused on my last year of college. I want to be a pro soccer player. I like what you guys are doing. I'm in town. What do I need to do to at least just train? And, I did the due diligence. I looked him up, and I was like, yeah, this guy can play. And then we brought him out to training, and it was, text message after text message from existing players saying, like, what do we got to do to sign this guy? And I was like, well, we already did. But no, like, just meeting him and seeing how, although he wanted to be a pro soccer player, he wants to be a pro soccer player, and he's currently in the mix for all of the major scouting combines around the country, specifically for the MLS, within the Midwest region for collegiate players that are graduating. It was his dedication to his academics and his internship off the field that were really impressive to me, that really showed the character that soccer's not the only thing. It's just the thing that he wants to do right now, but he's setting himself up for afterwards. And what that also told me was, if I was an MLS GM, I would not even hesitate to bring in a guy like Brandon Bai, even if I don't need someone in his position of strength. But this guy is extremely smart, extremely coachable. He does a lot of community service on his own time up at school, and he just a really connected dude and nice human being who's really good at soccer. And we got him. We really needed him. We were again on that kind of stretch, and I believe we just talked about the Sioux Falls away trip, but Sioux Falls at home was his debut, and a debut it was, Nate. He had something like a goal and an assist, or was it 2 goals and an assist?
1 goal, 1 assist. Yeah, he set up Will Kidd, and then he went and did it himself, and he almost had 2 goals, but it was.
Was that the one that got called back by hitting?
Called back, and it should not have been. Yeah.
Right. So like the guy can play soccer, and he very well could move on to be one of the most successful players that we've had in our system. So wish him the best of luck at the combines coming up, and we're really happy to have him, even though it was a short, injury cut short season for him with us, and he didn't get in until late, but we were glad to have him. And if you've seen the press on him in the about his success that the MPSL did, he was very appreciative of the support we gave him as a club, not only as an actual club but also the fans, and was just really glad that he was part of us last summer.
Yeah, that's one thing I really like about through everything, being a Herman Trophy semifinalist, to going to this Midwest showcase,
academic All-American.
Now down to this MLS Combine, is that he's always, been willing to at least acknowledge and thank the fans and Minneapolis City organization just for giving him a little stepping stone to where he's at, and that's cool, man. He doesn't have to do that. He was, for all we know, we were just going to be a flash in the pan in his career, but it's pretty cool in the short term that he's given us some props.
And we'll just take all the credit anyways.
Right, we might as well. Yeah. On number 4, I think of the top 10 things I loved about 2017 is really watching our city boys grow into city men this year. Of all the guys that I remember, like back in May, when a couple guys had come back from school, and I was like, holy shit, these guys got big. You were like, dude, wait till you see Samo and Goose and them. It's like we saw these guys leave high school basically and join Minneapolis City, and a year later they are real soccer men, and it was cool to see that they still throughout this development want to come back and play with us and keep their development going strong, whether it is Steve or Goose or Samuel or Will Kidd,
or Hoof,
or Connor was like all of a sudden a foot taller. Like this kind of thing is really cool to see that these we're really watching our young talent grow and develop into something special, and I really like that. I would like having that opportunity as a city supporter.
Well, there's a picture that was online of our first ever game against the Bavarians, which you were in attendance.
Oh yeah,
down in Milwaukee.
Oh yeah,
and I looked at like the faces of the players, and even like Trey looked young, Connor looked young, Hoof looked like he was actually Hoof never really ages, so Hoof looked the same. But even like Wexler looked young, and I'm thinking like, man, what a difference! Like
that was
3
only
years.
A year and a half ago. Where did you see that picture?
It's in the article that Matt Elder wrote that was put out there. So like you can see it. And there's a couple other ones that were I kind of just found on our social outlets. It was like, man, when we were doing the rundown, I'm like, I'm gonna go back and look at these guys, and I knew Goose got big. He looks like Shaqiri now.
He does.
Just like a 2 foot tall, just rock. But yeah, you're right. Everyone grew up, which is awesome. Number 3 is something that takes us away from the actual team and puts the spotlight solely on the folks that come watch us play, and that's the citizens taking over the PA system when it went down over player introduction. So as many of you know, Nate, you are our PA announcer, and you do a fine job. We try to keep it under a few old granddads. There's been a couple sloppy nights, but we get through it. But we always have technical difficulties, and in this instance, it came in probably the most crucial point for an announcer, during player introductions
It
when
was brutal, man.
everything went out.
Well, that's the thing is I want to set the record straight that everything was going fine, and
It was perfect.
I had completely announced the visiting team, and as soon as I started with the Crows, the PA blew a fuse, and we were scrambling.
It blew the amp.
The whole amp went down, right? And so
Yeah.
we're trying to figure out like what happened. I thought the batteries on the mic were dead. We switched batteries out. We're fucking with the soundboard. Finally, we decided it's this huge. We figured out it's the huge amp box. In the meantime, the citizens kindly took over for me and were announcing the starting roster all by themselves, which I thought was awesome. That they, first of all, knew their team well enough to do that, but second of all, there were enough of them.
Right, to be able to make some noise.
Yeah, and that's definitely a positive development in the last year.
I also thought it was funny, like, you and I are up there just, like, full sweat trying to figure this out, and, like, our phones are going off, and you get the text message like, hey, the sound's not working. It's like, no, fuck, it's not working. Like, shut up. Like, we're doing our best here trying to figure this out.
Dan busts into the room. Oh, do you guys know the sound's not working? Yes, we fucking know the sound's not
shut
working.
up. We're trying. And then, like, I forget the guy's name, who did the video stream. Do you remember what his name was?
No.
But he kind of like just, I remember, I'll never forget it, because like when Dan busts in is like, guys, the PA's out, and we like both look at Dan, and then I looked over at the guy running the stream, and he just kind of smiled and turned around, like, because he knew we were trying so hard to like fix it.
Let you guys deal with that. That was cool. So thank you to the citizens for the help, and thank you for creating an amazing game day environment.
And maybe that's a tradition that we continue as we get into our new home for the for next season, our temporary home. Maybe
that would be something to explore.
Maybe we talk about that a little bit with Mr. Baker.
Mm-hmm. I guess number 2 on our top 10 list as we come to the end is something that evolved over the course of our home games. We started to see Minneapolis City games become must-see soccer for local pros and ex-pros. All of a sudden at games, you'd start to see a face or two in the crowd, and you had to do a double take to say, is this real? Like, are they really coming to our team to watch them play? Is that really Brent Coleman? Is that really Cody Cropper? Is that really Jerry Tieson? Is that Jeb Brovsky? And it's all of a sudden, not only because of the quality of the product that we're putting out on field, but because of our game day environment, because of the things we're doing in the community, because of how Minneapolis City has positioned ourselves, we're kind of something cool for soccer players that are at the next level or even the level after that they kind of want to be associated with us.
Yeah, they want to come by and check it out. They, we're all over the internet, so if they're on it, they'll see us. And I mean, the fans of United are also City supporters too. So the conversations that those guys have with the fans of their respective teams.
Yeah, I'm sure. Props to those guys for saying you guys should come out and check out a City game.
Yeah, and you get a guy like Jerry who comes out because one of our interns tweets at him because he saw something on social that said like, oh, looking for something to do tonight, and he's like, you should really come on down and check out Minneapolis City. And then like 25 minutes later, the guy is standing on the sidelines shooting the shit with Dan, at the merch booth. It's just really cool, and I hope we can continue that as we move forward. Number 1, we are at the end here. Number 1's kind of threefold, but it all kind of revolves around success, and it's not necessarily team success. It's individuals' collective success, and we talked about it a little bit on a previous podcast. But seeing what our college players have done or are doing when they leave is a direct reflection of not only what we provide them for the summer as a proving ground and a stepping stone and a way to sharpen their tools, but seeing how they kind of mature as people as well as they get older, and we talked about Samo won a national championship. Nick Hines won one last year and was in the mix again this year. Steve made a great impact being going from his freshman to sophomore year, making that crucial jump. Hoof being the captain of his team. The Goose losing in the national championship game. Like the kind of hits just keep on coming for our college players, and it's just truly awesome to see that. We didn't win our division, and I think I speak for a lot of folks in and outside of the organization that we had a very good chance at winning it both on and off paper. That it didn't happen. That's soccer. But to see that there was a different type of success with these guys is awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you want to hear it from the guys and what their success that they've found and what how Minneapolis City has helped them get there, what that means to them, I definitely recommend that you head to minneapoliscity.com and read some of the articles that our players have posted.
Yes, absolutely. And I think, on that note, you get to really hear from, we have one more coming out in the next few weeks, but, the players that we've had, we had Max Kent on, and he was on our podcast and dropping words that I've never heard before. So really smart kid, but also just talking about how our process is and how they got involved, with him specifically being part of our open trial process and really giving a voice to the player who comes to that and pays a fee to try out and to see that it is possible to go that route. It might be a slim chance, but it's still a chance if you have the talent, and we'll cast a wide net to look for quality players, and he's one in particular. And then listening to Ian talk about what it meant to be a local kid who is now going into his third season as a semi-pro, and how great it was for his college experience. And then Matt Elder being a club leader and what it means to be, just a local guy who has a day job who wants to keep soccer at a high level in his life. So it's definitely check those out. The second piece of kind of the trident of success here is the Open Cup. And, you'd have to be completely blind and maybe a little bit deaf to not hear about our undefeated campaign that we had for the Open Cup and kind of what happened to us last season. But then translating that into this season and, a heartbreaking loss in New York to knock us out of the last crucial step before the tournament proper. But going on the road, winning a game, you came with us. You got to see the inner workings a little bit differently. We talked about it on the podcast afterwards. But it's just really great to see that, with given that opportunity in our nation's oldest tournament and most prestigious tournament, that we can actually make some noise in it, whether we're winning or getting kicked out. We're still making noise.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's clear from our experience that there are quite a few teams around the country that when faced with the logistical side of competing in the Open Cup really shit the bed, and that only in our second year in existence Minneapolis City had it together enough to be able to not only to compete, but compete at a pretty high level and travel really well, both the team and the supporters.
Yeah, absolutely. Seeing supporters come to New York and being like maybe the only fans in the stands was a good thing to see. And it just shows that, we've built something that people love and they're all in on it. Just like we are. The last piece is, even more individual success. If you've seen the news that's come out this past week, Miles Stockman-Willis and Trey Benhart were selected as two members of the Midwest region to represent our club and themselves in the NPSL Pro Showcase that happens, I believe, the 13th of January, so next week.
Yeah.
These two fellows are going to be flying to beautiful Orlando, Florida, and they'll be competing for the Midwest against the North, South, and East in the 3-day showcase for USL, NASL, MLS. A few foreign clubs will be there, but these guys they put pretty stringent restrictions on this for a few reasons. Some of which we talked about over the league meeting that we were at in New Orleans. This in the past used to just be kind of the all-star game. And what the scouts were seeing that was they're getting like 30-year-old guys who are still very good soccer players, but not necessarily the one you want to sign to a pro contract because they're getting towards the
they're on the downward slide of their career at that point.
So the requirements now are also restricted to U.S. nationals. So international players are kind of hard to come by in here. You have to be a naturalized citizen or born in the United States, which is not taking international slots away from these teams that might sign better international players. And they put an age limit on it of 23 years old. So, someone like Martin Brown can't go. Even someone like Whitney can't go. Actually Chuck just missed out on being able to be nominated because of he was a few months too old. So it not only speaks to the fact that these guys fit the criteria, but there weren't many teams that got more than one player in, and we were one of a few handfuls that did. We didn't get our third player in, but we did get our first two in, and it just shows the opportunity that we're able to provide these players that come into our system. You look at a guy like Trey who had multiple looks coming out of college and it didn't pan out, and we were able, fortunate enough to have him in the system. But he now has another shot because he was part of what we did, and his play spoke for itself over the year. And then you have a guy like Miles who just wants to be a pro soccer player, and that's like his goal. And I don't feel that an alternative route for him outside of playing with us last year would have given him this chance to be able to be seen by these coaches. And I'll kind of end it with, these type of trials are hard because there's a few types of them. There's a showcase where these scouts and these coaches are coming to watch you, and you're invited there, versus you going to an open trial for a team where you're just another number and you got to do something real spectacular. These guys now have game footage. They have another year under their belt after school. All the things that help them further prepare for what they're trying to achieve, they've been given now, and we've had a hand in that. And I think it's just great that we have that type of success with our players, and we hope that we continue that pipeline of getting guys into these showcases, and you've got like Brandon By getting all the accolades that he had, even though a lot of that was through his college. But we're giving these players a chance to continue their dream of getting paid to be a soccer player.
Totally agree. So needless to say, there's going to be more on the horizon, more great things coming in 2018. But soccer-wise, this has been a pretty good year, and we hope that you all agree. Now, you've been giving me hints for a while, John, and we had kind of
a dry run
earlier. That
more like a wet run, really.
You've got some issues with the MLS that have kind of risen to the surface of your psyche. You really need to get them off your chest. So, John, it's time for your old granddad rant. Why is the MLS ruining the earth?
Well, first off, Nate, I'm just going to start off with, I'm extremely disappointed in your MLS, and we'll get to it, but you got to get your shit together because the turds are starting to float to the top, and you're starting to be found out. And we're going to start off first with your fucking deal to be a sole, having a sole kit provider of Adidas is killing the kit game. I don't know if you've seen like the leaked photos that have been out, Nate, on some of these jerseys that have come out. They are total fucking garbage. We are basically out-of-pocket member supporter club, and we have the ability to identify and design on a shoestring budget kits that make fans of the biggest, most prestigious league in our country drool over and want to buy without knowing anything about us. People overseas are buying them because they're so unique. But no, you've decided to put out just fucking garbage that is just basically it's turning into like one color cotton t-shirt jerseys that I'll see on a fucking mismatching men's league team in Minnesota. It's absolute garbage. And here's the sad part, Nate. They are going to rake in tons of money because someone who supports these teams wants to buy the new jersey every year.
Yeah.
And like, I can't even tell you what I thought about when I saw the leaked jersey that someone found at Planet Soccer for Minnesota United. It has nothing to do with any of the direction that the team's going in now. It's kind of an homage to the Stars days, but it's not even a good one. Like they could have gone so many different directions. It's fucking garbage. You're ruining it for all the rest of us. And like the Loons, go back to having the Loon on your jersey. Who cares if Adidas is doing it? MLS needs to force Adidas into making more customized jerseys and let each team design them like they used to back in the day, and they'll make more money. And we all know they're all about money. So
definitely. I mean, it's totally most of these designs are totally uninspired. First of all, and they're very cynically, but the teams are still very cynically marketed as like, integral to whatever town they are's soccer culture. So if the teams really mean that much to soccer in all the towns that we have them, why not let the teams design kits that reflect that rather than choose from one of 5 templates that Adidas has?
Yep. If I see one more just all one color Adidas jersey come out on the internet on these like overhyped kit reveals, I'm gonna lose it, Nate.
That New England one is terrible.
Yeah, and I'll get into another one of them as I get finished here. But my second point is get your dirty ass hands off the USSF election. I'm talking really directly to the senior leadership of MLS. I'm sick and tired. The U.S. Soccer Federation is messed up enough on its own. We don't need your greedy, grubby hands getting all over, and getting the backing, both financially and getting the vote backing for another turd to run our organization again. Like we have to stop this. Like it's getting almost as bad as like the NFL with Roger Goodell. And I hate to even say that, but they were totally caught red-handed last week with the reason why they pad their attendance numbers, Nate. And I don't know if you saw this. It was kind of buried in Twitter, and I caught it, and I took a screenshot and I saved it just so I could talk about it today. The reason why you'll see these pictures, mostly from the pro rel guys all over the internet, of announced attendance figures of these MLS teams, specifically teams like DC United, who say, home attendance for our match today was 27,000, and you show a picture and there's like 8 fucking people there. So what I found out was that the number of paid attendees into a match allows your league to get X number more votes for the USSF election or the USSF or any of the votes.
What?
So what we're seeing is a direct and blatant lie in order for them to have weight when it comes to decision making within our federation that it directly pertains to, and maybe it doesn't pertain at all to Major League Soccer. I don't even know how else. I'm kind of at a loss for words, which is tough for me because I'm a talker. But that's fucking garbage, man. That's direct cheating and lying.
That's a rigged game. That's definitely. And the killer is I remember there were a couple United games. I know they were so proud of their sellouts. They sold out the last 3 games or something. But I remember at one of them, the Vikings had bought something like 1,000 to 2,000 tickets to quote give away to underprivileged youth or something, and they counted them as sold tickets, right? As paid attendance, even though I guarantee you the 1,000 to 2,000 people were not in that stadium.
Yeah, it's got to get cleaned up. It's a total black eye for the league, and not only was the MLS doing it, and we're talking about them right now, but the USL was doing it, the NASL was doing it, and then you look at us, and we're hoping that we get an extra 200 people because it rained, and we don't want to lose those figures because it would affect our bottom line. It's just garbage, man. I can't stand it. It's just rigging the deck, and
yeah, totally.
I'm all about a fair fight, and that's not a fair fight. Speaking of fair fights, my next question: homegrown players in the not too distant or not too recent past, last couple of days, you start seeing these college players and some high school players getting signed to Generation Adidas contracts. I'm not sure if you know what Generation Adidas is at all, Nate.
Yep.
So for those of you who don't know, real quick high level, Generation Adidas was started a ways back in the old I forget which league it started, the A League, and it was called Proposition 40, where you could sign a high school or college player to a contract. It wouldn't affect their amateur status, but it would allow them to play with you for no money, and then as soon as they declared a full professional, they were your property and you could pay them, and they wouldn't be associated with your salary cap. So that's where it eventually started, and it was started in a way such that it would give younger players the opportunity to stay closer to home so they can finish high school or college or whatever they're doing, but also play pro soccer. Fast forward to getting Adidas's hands in it, just like they were the stupid kits that they're putting out. Adidas got into it, and then now is starting to change the rules a little bit, because they sign players to contracts completely voiding their amateur status at very young ages, and that then allows them to give them signing bonuses that don't count towards salary caps either. So these guys are basically getting endorsement deals by Adidas to stay home and play for a team that they directly sponsor their kits. So that sounds a little bit weird, right?
Yeah.
That an apparel company is providing money to underage, in theory, in quotation marks, underage kids to skip school and go play a game where they have a direct hand in the pocket of all the people that are attending, and they're taking that money from them. It is just, that's even more of a fallacy than the USSF election stuff with the attendance. It just makes me so mad. But what I also found out is this directly relates to something else that we learned about when we talked about back when the U.S. didn't make the World Cup. We talked about that study that was done by Carlos Queiroz, the Q report, which basically talked about how we identify youth players. So what I learned is that the MLS has a direct pipeline into how the youth national system is set up. So what I mean is, scouts are directly told not to select any player that has not been vetted through the DA or signed an MLS club homegrown player contract or a Generation Adidas contract. So where it really gets sticky for me is the DA piece. The DA piece has nothing to do with MLS, but it shouldn't. Yes, the DAs are normally connected to higher level clubs because they have the financial means to back them. But when it comes to how we promote talent for our country, get your fucking hands out of there. Like, it is not your game to play at all. And what I've also found out too, I did talk to a scout, and I won't name the scout, but he's a Minnesota-based scout, and he told me that he has identified a few players that have grown up, and including some that we know. I won't name any names. One that's currently a younger kid that's trying out for City, but another City member who is playing with us that as a youth had an opportunity to represent his country but did not play in the DA. So what's happening is that these guys were told, do not select these players because if they don't pan out, you'll be fired. And that is absolutely awful to hear. So just because a player maybe doesn't perform when given one chance, but this scout maybe has seen them 3, 4, 5, 6 times and believe that they have the talent to represent our country at the youth level, that should not be a direct connection to them losing their job if they don't perform.
That's especially wild, considering that the talent level of the MLS is not one that can compete internationally. So, like, to say that, to mandate that only MLS DAs or only DA kids can be selected to try out for our national team already sets your bar much lower than any other country.
Right. And to connect that to the livelihood of a scout that maybe makes like $50,000 a year and has another job because our system hasn't figured out how to take that surplus of cash that we have and pay these guys the money that they deserve to travel around the country to identify talent to make us all better is fucking stupid, man. It makes me so mad. I'm just going to stop talking about this portion because luckily the old granddads were kept to a moderate level tonight, or I would continue to go at this. But I'll go to my last point.
I'll tell you, man, so far this is much more much
coherent.
easier to follow and much more coherent than last time.
Where I just couldn't find words to say.
Yep.
I was just basically saying shapes and colors. My last piece, finally. MLS. Leave Columbus the fuck alone. Like, I cannot tell you how aggravated I got when a few months back, I opened up my computer at work one morning. I'm just had a good morning meeting, sipping on a cup of coffee, flip my computer open, get my news alerts, and I see Columbus potentially moving to Austin, Texas. What the fuck is that? So the reason why it makes me mad, Nate, is because I grew up in Dayton, Ohio, and I grew up in a time period where the MLS had just started. So because Columbus was the closest MLS city to us, I went to quite a few games with my dad and my teammates and, and friends and family. And we made events around it. And they played at the Horseshoe at Ohio State. And they were one of the original founding members of the league. So now you fast forward quite a few years. They get their own. They're the first club to break ground in a soccer-specific stadium, which then kickstarted the mandate that every team has to have one. And now, you're basically hearing the news that the reason why they are leaving is because some greedy ass owner who basically bought a McDonald's franchise is now being told that he's got to buy a better looking McDonald's franchise in a different city, or make other people who are already paying their hard-earned cash to buy the merchandise and tickets to go see these games that they're profiting off of, and you're gonna take and move them to a fucking new city like Austin, Texas. Like, what is that? There's already so many teams that are in Texas. Like, what sense does that fucking make? And then you're gonna take one of the original founding clubs who, like I said, helped dictate the one rule that you're making them now leave for. It's stupid. And then, it's just basically, it's kicking the supporters right in the face. And that's what we spend so much effort at our level making sure that we have a good experience for our supporters, down to the smallest little degree, because we know how it will affect our bottom line if we don't give people a good experience, and we won't get the players to come play and things like that. And then you see a league where these people have just like fuck off money, and they don't really care about soccer, and they only bought a team because their 12-year-old kid played soccer in gym class and liked it, and they know nothing about the game. So it's just so aggravating. So MLS, leave Columbus the fuck alone. Let those supporters have their team. Help figure out how to fund that stadium through some other means. Maybe the rich guy who owns the team, instead of trotting his goose-looking face ass out on TV and having him try to explain why he wants to leave. It's embarrassing. It really is embarrassing, and it's one of the reasons why I just can't get behind giving money to MLS teams. And I know a lot of people will get on me because they like MLS soccer, and I watch it, but I don't give it my money, because watching it on TV and paying for tickets and experiencing it at the stadium, which I would much rather prefer, Nate, over sitting at home and watching it, I just won't do it until the corruption and these things that people don't know of that are happening behind the curtains are fixed. It's just unacceptable. And that is my old granddad rant. Screw you, Don Garber, and all the fucking horsemen that you have in your apocalypse. Just get out of here.
Well, that is all for tonight's show. Thank you, as always, to our sponsor, Summit. Whether you're going to hit up the tap room for a limited edition or you are partying in the new year with an old favorite, Summit is always the right choice. Minneapolis City memberships for 2018 are, of course, available now. $60, I believe, will get you a ticket to every home game, the 2018 member scarf, a really cool member card, and a place, of course, at the table in Soccer Valhalla. Make it happen. This is the best sports value in town. So much soccer for so little money. Head to mplscitysc.com and check it out. Hey, this is the season of giving, and it's also the tax season. You know you love to give back, and you know you love to write shit off on your taxes. So, because we need the help and support of the people, we are looking for fine people that want to align themselves with a fine group that loves to give back. We are a 501c3 doing good on and off the pitch. Every donation is fully tax deductible, so consider giving to the club that gives back. If you want to get a hold of us, of course, you can send us a note on Twitter at The People's Pitch, or hit us up through email at mcscpodcast@gmail.com. All questions, comments, and concerns totally welcome. Finally, as always, hit the club up at MPLS City SC on Twitter. if you want to do that. And that is all for this week. We will once again leave you with our new house MC. This is the one, the only current Minneapolis City player, Miles Stockman Willis, who goes by Malaise with a track called Moves. I am Nate. That is John. And you people, we will see you more in 2018, where you will be getting more soccer or get hoofed.
And you people. What do you mean, you people?
Motherfucker, just trust the process. All these dudes do is talk, so I'm not that talkative. Too busy hitting blunts till my body deprived of oxygen. Solo dolo anonymous, skill is real like I'm Solomon. I'm confident that we ain't the same like a hominin. We're not. My girl just woke up looking like she modeling. Feet up on the ottoman, about to feel her collagen. In times of division and negatives, be positive. Since a teenager, did it major like a college major. Thought I was the dean, getting debits, yeah, filled schedule. 16's worth 18 credits, got credentials, wallet filled, cream cheese, lettuce, bills, presidential, burning gas, unleaded, embedded in the mental. I'm a rare thug, give the bag a bear hug. Take the Donald's daughter and make her vacuum my prayer rug. Ballin' excessive through 24s on a Roomba. Equipped with extra batteries cause I got rooms, bruh. Boss among bosses, never have to be debris. Not a man of many words, all my sentences are brief. Give a rapper a halo, I'm like Commander Chief. Have the music lit, the way that I be decoding beats. Body coated, all in Gucci, lungs coated with the key. Styling on y'all with the steez. Clorox wipes for the sneaks. About to explore her sheets. Broke, I can't afford to be. Smoking on a Christmas wreath. Wrist look like a coral reef. Valet tried to kill himself the way he suicided. I appear in the club like I'm scuba diving. Fly no autopilot, making moves in private. Treat her like I don't need her, my main bitch more like a sidekick. Can't wait to meet my maker, maybe then become the savior. Shawty thinks that I can save her, cause I never shop at Savers. But the way she sucking on me, thought I was a lifesaver. Never get blue balls, only blue on me is on the paper. Soul blacker than Kodak, throw back in a throwback. Cut me down, I just grow back. Giving facts and you know that. Ride it like she on horseback, life a movie like Bojack. All this lean on me, no fat. Pimpin' shit, sipping cognac. With a big ol' rock resting on my nuts. Got me doing pinky ups, 3 bills on the custom chucks. Thinking about haters, wishing there was a new emoji. Thinking about my ice, wishing I had a Zamboni. Fiending for the power, Immaculate sitting on the throne. Meditating in a mandala made out of cobblestone. Get $1 million, couple friends that I could probably phone. Turn the crib to the Middle East the way I'm getting stoned. Bros, in my zone, always alone. Future sewn in my bones, leapfrogging over stepping stones. Frogger, to each his own, but boy you better check your tone. My life a work in progress, still I'm shining like construction cones. So incredible that they still waiting for the sequel. Like a scalene triangle, cause I don't really have no equal. Look at the money like high bay, grind until I say hi sway. Doing me like Do Ray in a Supreme North Face. Get to home base, no foreplay. Asshole in my aura, flow is swimming like orcas. Freely wink, call me Oprah. Have my mom's off the coast up. Brazil chillin' with Costa. Fruity drink on her Costa. Flossing out all that okra. I got the moves. You finna lose. I make beginners lose. I make the masters lose. I make the legends lose. I make the game lose. I got the moves. I got the moves. You finna lose. You finna lose. I make beginners lose. I make the masters lose. I make the legends lose. I make the game lose. I got the moves.